And we are back live at the Lancaster Archery Classic. We're getting all set for the premier event of the day, the afternoon, the final matchup, the final ladder. This is the Men's Open Pro Division. These guys are shooting for $15,000 top prize. Rob's right now talking to Dan Yassuh, who's the number 8 qualifier. He will be going up against Braden Galantine,
who is a very tough competitor. He is a world-ranked shooter. He has been a mainstay on the international scene as well as the domestic scene. This guy has shot it all. Braden has been out there on the World Cups, the World Championships, and of course he has just won a number of national titles. He's been shooting since he was a very young kid.
Yes, he has. Dan Jasa is a pro shooter here in the United States. We've seen him quite a bit. He's also a rep for PSE. He goes from shop to shop and sells the equipment, so it's great to see him up on the stage shooting so well. I've seen him in a lot of shoot-offs and some national events here. Braden comes to full draw. He will be our first man up, and he lands his first arrow 4 and 11. Dan at full draw here. Matches it with a very centered shot. Good looking there. Teresa, you've got some stats on Braden here from the international stage. What do we know about him?
Yeah, so World Archery's website, worldarchery.org, tells us that Braden is world ranked number 2 right now. He has an incredibly impressive number of world championship wins. We actually had to click the more button to show us all of his medals. So in the world championships alone, he's got 9 gold medals in world championship events. 9 world championship gold medals, Chuck. That's a crazy record. He's got a world championship silver, 2 bronze, and then his list of World Cup accomplishments, I'm still scrolling down the page and I couldn't get to the bottom of his list. There are too many medals to count here. Clearly well up into the, I don't know, 40-something World Cup medals. Absolutely an incredible force to shoot against.
Both of those men just shot 9s.
Got him at the moment, but because he's got the silver in there. But Braden will get there.
Gets bonus points for
yeah,
silver,
absolutely.
more silver. All right, very good. Well, let's talk about the gear that's being shot. We'll start with Braden. Braden, you're shooting the new TRX 38 from Matthews, and CBE scope and sight bar, trophy taker blade rest, Easton rods, and what release?
I'm shooting Scott Black Hole, but I'm about to switch to the Ascent. I was going to switch to it before this, but it's like a 1/4 inch shorter in the moon than my other current release, so I'd have to like change draw lengths and stuff, and I had this set up shooting so well I didn't really want to change my tune right before the event, so I'll be shooting that in Vegas.
Well, very good, very good. You guys both had very strong qualifying scores and survived all the elimination matches to get here. Nice shooting. I think we almost have our arrows back, so we'll roll into it before we get into Dan's gear. Looks like we've got a 1-point difference with Dan having just a slight lead, so it's very close. 31-30.
We're going to see a little bit of replay action here. You can see Dan's 3rd arrow, and he shot a 9 there, but Braden also answered with a 9 of his own, which means that this match is very close.
Yeah, you know Dan wanted to capitalize there. Now, Braden, we've got him on screen here to give you an idea of how his weekend has come. He was the number 54 qualifier for day 1. And in the brackets, he went up against Ethan King.
Nice
he shot
shot.
a near perfect 131. Then he shot against Colby Hanley, and he shot a perfect 132 to advance and put himself into this ladder bracket.
One of the things that Braden recently talked about with his fan base on social media was undisciplined shots. So after the Nîmes event last weekend in France, Braden said that he was really going to be very focused on shot discipline. He was coming home from Nîmes and going straight to the range on Tuesday. He worked hard to prepare for this event this weekend. It's almost as if he knew he was going to make it to this incredible world stage here and needed to do a little bit of work on his shot discipline, and he said that that was his goal, not a single undisciplined shot.
Beautiful looking shot from there from Dan, much more comfortable looking. You didn't see any reaction out of the bow, just a great follow through. Dan also had a great qualifying match. His qualifying round for the weekend had him starting in 29th position, and then he shot himself through Tim Chekarowski, 130,
Dan,
127.
So I know this is a new boat from
And then
PSC this year. Tell us a little bit about
130, 129 over Christopher Perkins to put himself into this bracket. And if you're watching along at home, we really appreciate that. We've had almost 2,900 people watching the broadcast
What else
through
you got
Facebook
going there?
and through our live
True ball
YouTube
sights,
feed.
and I see some AAE rods there. Tell us a little bit what you got on the weight also, too. People are really curious about those sorts of things.
30-inch bar with a 2-ounce internal weight, and with the collar and the weights on front, it's 20 up front and 20 on the back on a 12-inch rod.
Awesome. Well, obviously you're shooting well, and it's obviously holding well for you. You did good all the way through qualifications, and obviously your head-to-head matches. You had some tough ones, as everybody does out there. But so does it seem like this particular weight system that you're shooting? Obviously, you've probably tried everything. What is it about this weight system that does it best for you? Obviously, you've tried it light, you've tried it heavy. Nervous situations, what is it that really makes this work right?
I've always run a really heavy front rod, even back when I was shooting the Dominators and Freaks and things like that. So honestly, I just threw this on from the bows I was shooting, and it sat in the middle better than any bow I've ever had. So I didn't change it.
Well, hey, that's perfect.
Very nice. Well, let's check the scores.
Dan, a very strong guy. He's a personal trainer, as that's his background before he got into being a bow rep. So very fit, very physical. He can hold a lot of bow weight. You see Braden also has a ton of weight on that back bar. All those stacked up weights there by his shoulder. That's the balance that they're looking for with those rods. That's the conversation that the gentlemen were just having out there now, is to talk about the balance that they have to keep that bow sitting in the middle. You see Dan come back to full draw here. Nice, comfortable looking shot, sends it right down the middle for an 11 with his first arrow in this third end of this match.
So Dan's up 1 point on Braden, and Braden's not going to give him any room right now. He knows that he's got to shoot 11s if he wants to win this match against Dan. This is really Dan's match to lose at this point. Nice shooting.
11-11. Now Braden will get into a groove here, and that makes him pretty, ooh, rolls through that shot pretty quick. You can see he got his pinky on the hinge. That's Braden's style. That's the way he shot for a lot of years.
Correct. His shot timing tends to be pretty on the quicker side. It has slowed down a little bit in the last couple of years, but having photographed him for a number of years, you can just see here.
Yep.
He gets that.
When he gets into that rhythm,
absolutely,
that's the thing.
He gets tough to catch. He just really starts to move with it.
When Braden's timing is on, he is very, very difficult to beat. Both of these guys laid down a 33 here. It is a tie match going into the last 3 arrows.
They've been very popular, and everybody that shoots them, tries them, seems to love them. What do you like about them?
I mean, there's the consistency and the spine in it. I didn't have to turn any knocks or anything whenever I set them up. Basically, fletch them with a label and put a knock in it and shoot it. Very good.
Very, very accurate arrow. Excellent. Obviously, you guys are doing them justice. You're shooting the Easton X7, tried and true aluminum. You have a lot of confidence over many years shooting those indoors.
Right, these are my 2315s. It's my FIDA arrow, and they just seem to be a little bit more forgiving out of the bow for me than anything else I've ever shot. Just my bad shots land closer to the center.
Very good. Very good. We need all the divine forgiveness we can get when we're shooting up in a pressure situation like this. Looks like we got 95 apiece, tie score, going into the last 3 arrows.
Very nice shooting from both of these gentlemen. We've got a 95 all match. We are in the men's open pro division. If you are just now joining us, we are in the first match of this division. We're seeing Dan Jasa competing against Braden Galantine, both seasoned competitors, incredibly talented guys. This is a really tough match, Chuck. We are really fortunate to be watching this kind of competition, this quality of competition on this world-class stage here at the Lancaster Archery Classic.
We are. Now, Braden, no stranger to this platform at all. Finished 3rd here in 2014, 17th in 2015, 4th in 2016. He's on a rail right now. Dan absolutely laying him down the middle. Needs to keep doing this.
And Chuck, are we able to see where Braden qualified here at this event? I'm curious because he had a little bit of a
54.
tough time. So To qualify 54th and be here right now is pretty impressive.
Yeah, he shot through a very tough bracket. And Dan, 11, 11, 11. That'll be it for the match. Dan will win this match. He will send Braden home. And 11, 11, 11. Braden does exactly what he can. Oh, it's a tie match.
It's a tied match,
They
Chuck.
had that misscored for a moment. I apologize for that. 33-33 for these guys. It's tied. We're going to go to a shoot-off. Rob will run through the details of how that's going to work.
The arrow calls prove out the way we've seen them. You've been in these before, Braden. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been in a couple shoot-offs in my day. It's always, it's always nerve-wracking. It's always fun. I'm just excited for the challenge.
Yeah, you're always glad to get here and have the opportunity. The way this works, they'll shoot one arrow apiece. If they remain tie after that arrow, they'll shoot a second arrow. If they remain tie after the second arrow, then the third arrow will be closest to center, and it must be decided by within a millimeter. If they're too hard to determine within 1 millimeter, then they'll have to shoot it again. But usually it's called closest to the center on that third arrow if they tie on their first two. The lead archer will continue to have the
We'll take a look at these last shots from Dan, looking very solid, very comfortable up there. Everything breaking nice and clean. Braden also, you can see that bow explodes right towards the target. That's exactly what you're looking for here. Now, this is the shoot-off. This is sudden death. It is highest score. So if they tie with a score, they'll move on. That's 11. Braden must hit an 11 to stay alive
The
and
pressure
shoot
is
one
on.
more arrow.
There's a lot of pressure on Braden right now. He has no choice but to shoot the center. He does it.
He gets it. You can tell the look on his face, though. He feels like he was probably lucky to pull that one off. They will both shoot again. They are both 11s. Dan will shoot first.
So sorry, Chuck. I was just going to say very experienced, seasoned competitors here, as Rob alluded to. Both of these guys have been in shoot downs before.
Dan has run a string of 11s together here. He is putting the pressure on Braden. You could hear a pin drop in here right now. And there it is, Dan Jasa.
Dan Yasa.
Dan Yasa will advance. Congratulations to him. And he will send Braden Galantine home for 10th place, $500.
shooting man. That just missed low. Braden, you came through the qualifying rounds in 54th. So you didn't have a great qualifying score for you. You've come through this in first or second or third, up in the very top of the bracket. So you came through in 54th, and then you worked your way through the elimination brackets, winning all your matches to get here. And you're going to end up taking 8th place, $750. Congratulations, and well done. We'll see you in Vegas in 2 weeks.
Great job from Braden there.
Very tough, Chuck. I mean, let's give some credit where it's due. It is not easy to work your place up.
No,
Here's
look at
Dan's
this.
winning shot.
Look how comfortable he looks. That bow just sitting solid, cracking him off there. Boom, there's an 11-11 to keep himself alive. And coming up next will be John Scott. John Scott, will be seeing him when we come back after the break. We are live here at the Lancaster Archery Classic in the Truebell Axel Archery Hall at Spooky Nook Sports Complex. Teresa Johnson and myself, Chuck Cooley, in the Win and Win Broadcast Center. Welcome back live to the Lancaster Archery Classic 2018. We are in the Truebell Axel Archery Hall, Spooky Nook Sports Complex. That is John Scott. My name is Chuck Cooley. I'm joined by Teresa Johnson. John Scott is the number 6 qualifier in the men's Open Pro division. John is a good buddy of mine. We travel together, room together on the road. I love this guy. I'm so excited to see how well he's doing. Dan Yasa answers with an 11 as his first arrow. He just defeated Braden Galantine. Teresa, what are you expecting out of this match?
You know, these are two very strong shooters. This is an interesting setup because Dan's just shot his way through the world #2 shooter. And so Dan is clearly a very formidable competitor. He's just been drilling the 11 since he started shooting. He looks very composed. He looks very confident. I think this is going to be a very tough matchup.
Now, John's no slouch. I've shot with him for a lot of years. He routinely runs 450s, 300s with 30Xs in practice. 2 strange 10s from him here. I wonder if it's the nerves. Is the first time he's been up on this stage under these lights. He has made the shoot-off before when the Lancaster Classic was in the home facility. Dan opens up with a 33.
Two-point lead.
2-point lead after the first end. And I'm sure Rob's going to want to get a little conversation with the guys up here on the bench and introduce John to the crowd.
You want to talk to Jonathan about his gear, Nathan?
Yeah, Jonathan, tell me a little bit about what you got here.
Shooting a Hoyt Prevail, Excel, Carbon Achieve, AX25, AAE rods, Feather Vision lens, Easton X27s.
How much weight you running in your your 27s?
225.
225, and on your rods?
That's 17 on the front and 21 on the back.
17. That's a lot. You got bigger guns than I got.
All right, nice shooting, fellas.
There's a good look at John there.
And that last shot's pretty impressive. He's quick with it.
He generally has a pretty consistent shot cycle. He's joined in the coach's box by Mike Price. Mike Price runs an outstanding program up at Heritage in Phelps, New York. They have a really great program, the Heritage Raptors. Mike is a very experienced coach, travels the country, works a lot with the NFAA. John's one of his students and one of his second sons, I guess he calls them. Those guys are very, very close. It's good to see Mike in the box working with John. Now, hopefully John can get these nerves to settle down. You could hear it a little bit in his voice, just a little bit of tremble there. If he gets into a groove, though, I know he can start stringing these 11s together and put that pressure back on Dan. Now, he's pushing him out to the left. That tells me he's shooting really strong shots, and hopefully he's going to make a quick sight adjustment there and give it a couple of clicks. Because if he keeps...
Beautiful shooting from Dan. Let's check this out, Chuck. We got to give some credit where it's due. It's just this guy has been clean. He's at a 55 right now for 5 arrows. He has not dropped anything.
There, John got it back
Good
in the
shot.
middle there. Needed to do that, get his confidence back, get those arrows scoring. He cannot keep giving Dan these 11s.
And for sure,
Wow.
great shooting.
That's 5 ends in a row of 33 for Dan Yassuh.
That's unbelievable shooting. He is really shooting great. The thing is, you want to think a little bit about where does he want to peak in today's shooting? You know, does he want to peak early? Well, yeah, he's got to shoot his way through these first matches, but if he gets up to Sam Wolthius.
Right. Now,
and it took a 6:45 to make the cut this year, and there were quite a few ties at 44, 45, 46. Just describe what you experienced in the level of competition here at the Lancaster Archery Classic.
Well, it's, you know, the scores are like, if you follow golf, it's like watching golf scores. You know, there's so many ties, there's so many great shooters. If you're the 64th qualifier, just because you're shooting against the #1 seed doesn't mean that the 64th seed isn't going to give that #1 seed a challenge, because it happens every year. We see the top seeds fall to really low, to, you know, high seeds and low seeds. It just changes back and forth, and what that means is the level of competition is just fantastic across the board.
Yeah, anyone that shoots a 645 score can certainly shoot a 132 or a 130 and knock one of the top competitors out.
Absolutely. In reality, it's...
You can take a look here at John's shot. You can see him pull through nice and clean there. He's very comfortable.
Beautiful
Absolutely
shooting.
centered punch those last 2 arrows. That's going to help his confidence quite a bit. Dan, absolutely on a roll. He knows
So
he can't give him
solid.
any room here at all. John's, you know, very experienced at this event. He's been coming here for a lot of years. There's a great shot of his Hoyt 900 buckle. And for those back at home wondering what that means John has made the shoot-off in Vegas. Is a very capable, very competent shooter. Made the shoot-off just a couple of years ago.
Fantastic talent here. You're just seeing a lot of consistency from Dan Yassuh. You cannot take anything away from this guy today. He is not letting up And if we notice for this match, Dan elected to step over to the left platform. I don't know if you noticed, but he started initially on the right platform and moved over to the left. We don't know what, governed that decision for him, but it seems to be working for him.
11-10 liner. That might be the first crack from Dan that we've seen. I think that's probably going to be a little too far out for him to hold that 11 line. John really needs that. He needs to capitalize right here. A little longer in his hold. And he got a 10-9 liner.
That's going to hurt him just a
timing
little
was
bit.
off just a little bit. He was unable to capitalize on that. And 11 right back in
Good
that same
recovery
hole
from
that
Dan.
Dan's been pounding. John needs another 11 to stay alive in this match here. And another 10.
And it looks like he
Just right
just
there.
missed it.
Just right. So that'll
a
give
tough
Dan a
result from him.
4-point lead going into the last end.
Not an insurmountable lead, but something pretty crazy would have to happen at this point.
Yeah, Dan hasn't been giving up a lot.
It's hard to beat a man that never misses.
We have to see how that score is going to play out. Initially, they called that a 10. Now they're calling it 11. We'll wait for the final score to pop up on the
Nice
screen.
shooting, man. You're in a great groove. Okay, I want to give a special shout out to my friend Nathan Brooks here. Nathan is one of my longest and most dear friends in competitive 3D archery. Anyway, I have some that go back further than that, like Dick Tone, who was here in recurve archery. But in in the business and in the 3D archery world, there's not a man shooting that compares to the generosity and how gracious Nathan Brooks has been to everybody coming up. Nathan and Darren are the first two guys that will help a new competitor on the field and help everybody out. Let's give Nathan Brooks a big hand.
Well, Rob, I got to say real quick for this hallmark moment, I appreciate you so much. You have no idea really how much I appreciate you. And, what you have done for archery, this tournament, how about this, guys? How about this tournament? Bringing this to the stage for us as competitors, you ensure us a place to come every year to compete for thousands of dollars and do what we do for a living. And you do it out of the passion of your heart. That means a tremendous amount to me, and I'm so thankful for it, and I know everybody else here is too, so we appreciate you.
Thank you, Nathan. All right, let's see where we're at. 99-94, it's the last end, 99-94.
Well-deserved words there for Rob Kaufhold from Nathan Brooks, and we just want to echo here from the booth. We don't know if Rob will listen to every minute of this broadcast later, but what a tremendous thing he and Carol Kaufhold, of course, Lancaster Archery CEO, together they have created a dynasty here. They have reached out to so many new archers, so many experienced archers. They have grown the sport. They have absolutely rolled up their sleeves and grown this sport with their time, energy, and financial investment. And this is an incredible event in its 15th year. It's growing every year, and the scope and scale of this shoot down is amazing.
Just a little ginch there from Dan. I don't think it's going to be enough for John to catch him. And again, I want to reflect on that moment there from Rob and Nathan.
Oh.
Got it back in there. I remember seeing Nathan sing a song at the Lancaster Classic one year. And Dan closes it out with an 11. That'll seal
Nice
the win
shooting.
for him. Unfortunately, that will send John Scott home for the day.
Tough to see John Scott retire, clearly putting a lot of effort forth today, but it looks like nerves may have just gotten a bit out of him today, Chuck, yes?
Yep, it was a good solid finish by John. I'm really happy that he closed it out with a 33. Good solid finish. Congratulations to John Scott. Dan Yassuh will move on. His next competitor will be Jacob Pettit. We'll see that in just a couple of minutes. Some closing words here from Rob and John.
Congratulations, and let's give it up for Jonathan Scott. Nice shooting.
Great job by those guys.
These guys
Love
are
to
good
see the
friends,
sportsmanship
good
there.
friends. Dan, you can relax a little bit because you missed one. You don't have to keep up that streak.
And we'll take a look here at the last few shots. Dan Yassuh against Jonathan Scott. Dan Yassuh will move on. He was our number 8 seed. He just defeated the number 6 qualifier. Jacob Pettit will be the number 5. Coming up next live here at the Lancaster Classic. We'll take a quick look at the last match that we've been seeing here. Dan Yassuh is now up against Jacob Pettit. He got here by defeating Jonathan Scott. We just watched that match. And he initially defeated Braden Galantine after a tie score and then a 2-arrow shoot-off. Dan Yassuh now going up against the number 5 qualifier, Teresa. Wow, what a morning we've had. What an afternoon we've had with these guys. Dan looking very, very comfortable.
And now we've got Jacob Pettit. And let's talk about him because we certainly don't want to make any presumptions here, but Jacob looks like let's say a younger guy.
He does.
He may have, let's say, does he have the advantage of youth? And Dan the man, I mean, he has just been nonstop all day, hitting the 11 over and over and over again. There we go.
Now,
this is
Jacob,
going to be a tough matchup.
Jacob absolutely set the building on fire in his elimination
Yes.
round. He opened up, his first round was a perfect 330. That's 30 arrows, 30 11s. His second half was a 329. He only missed 1X in qualifier for a 659 out of a possible 660.
He caught that.
Dan Yassuh looks like he's probably going to catch that. Jacob was the number 2 qualifier after the elimination rounds. He comes in the number 5 seed.
And if I'm not mistaken, we see Jacob wearing a shirt that looks like it's from Bill Pellegrino's Archery Hut, which is in Colorado. Strong Joe Ed program out there. We'd be interested to hear more about him from Rob.
Jacob, I see you're wearing a Archery Hut of Colorado Springs shirt. You from Colorado Springs?
I'm from Denver area.
Denver area. Bill Pellegrino's been in the sport. He's a top archer and has the shop there in Colorado Springs. You shoot down there. He certainly knows his stuff, and looks like you're set up well. You want to talk about your gear a little bit?
So I got an Excel sight, CR housing. I'm shooting TRX 38, spot hog rest, gripper disconnects, and then pro bar stabilizers.
Very nice. What release are you running?
The blade.
And can I ask how old you're?
19.
19 years old. 19 years old. Give it up for Jacob.
What an amazing qualifier for Jacob. Now, again, he was the number 2 qualifier. He shot a
Yes.
659 coming into the elimination rounds. His first round was against Donnie Thacker. Shot a 124, 123. A little uncharacteristic for him, but he got through it. Then he came up against Matthew Young in the 16s. Shot a 129. Those guys tied. They had a 2-arrow shoot-off. He advanced with a 22 against a 21. Matthew Young, that puts him here in the finals ladder.
Let's see how he's going to do here. Dan, once again, I don't mean to chuckle a little bit here, but I mean, he is just so consistent in that 11. You've not been able to keep him out of it. And Jacob hits an 11. Beautiful hole he's got running there in that top target. He's been very consistent so far.
Dan looking very, very solid here. No wobble. Same hole 11.
Beautiful consistency. Consistency is the name of the game in archery, Chuck. If folks are new to archery or they're watching the broadcast wondering how these folks are shooting scores like this, it's because they're very consistent, right? And how do you get that way? Practice and training.
It is. It's a lot of practice. That shot cycle has to be the same to get the same result.
Every single time.
Dan,
Amazing.
Dan looking very strong here.
And we were here, you know, in the last match, Chuck, watching Dan with a 66 in the last match.
10-11 liner for Jacob there. We're going to have to wait for the official call. Initially, they're going to call that with a 33. We'll let the officials go down range and get those arrows called. Still going to be a one-point match.
So that's always going to be tough to contend with, but 659 over here, I'd say he's got something to say about it.
We'll take a look at this shot from Jacob. Man, look at that follow-through. Looks
Beautiful
beautiful.
form.
Gets rewarded with that dead center 11. Dan, again, looking very, very comfortable here. Gets that nice forward bounce with his bow. Jumps towards the target.
Absolutely beautiful shooting from both of these.
All right, gotta love that. That new PSC bow holds really solid.
Yeah, I mean, I set this thing up on Sunday, and it's just, the thing just sits in the middle and doesn't move. So I've been really, really impressed with it. I had the shoot down before that, and those two bows, It's a hard choice to figure out which one I was going to bring here, but this one ended up winning out on about Wednesday whenever I shot a 44x 450 in league. So
it's serving you well. Serving you well. All right. We've got a 66, 65.
Dan mentioned that he's still shooting leagues.
Yes.
So here's a guy that's shooting at the pro level. He's a rep on the road, selling bows, going from shop to shop to shop, and still supports his local shop by shooting league scores.
Well, and there's a lot of value in that, as we see here. I mean, we do see that there are top archers for sure that are going and shooting leagues. We saw Crystal Govan earlier today. Of course, compound world rank number 2. When she was shooting compound, she was shooting her local league at Hall's Arrow. I do think you see a lot of the top shooters, at least on the recurve side, and I don't know about the compound side, that will go to their local shop because it's some form of competition, and they need that. No matter what level it's at, they need to shoot around other people. They need to shoot competitions.
I want you to pay attention here to this shooting style. When you watch Dan, especially when you watch Dan, his shots timing and his shot sequence is very, very repetitive. That was one of the things you talked about.
Beautiful
Jacob,
consistency.
same thing. He has that really solid shot cycle. They get back to full draw, and it breaks at just about the same exact count. If you could set a stopwatch, you'd be surprised that these were at a second or two of each.
Look at this guy go, Chuck. He is on fire. Is he going to shoot a perfect match? I think he could do it.
He could. He's going to need to do it against Jacob.
Currently, he got second at the Iowa Pro-Am. I know he was in a three-way shoot-off there with a couple of guys that have been known to shoot a few X's in the middle, Jesse Broadwater and Dave Cousins. Tell me a little bit about that moment for you.
It was exhilarating. I don't know. I just wasn't holding the best, but just let the shots go and worked on timing.
Yeah, well, Bill's probably helped you a little bit understanding a little bit about that shot and how it needs to work under the pressure situations for sure. But, you know, for a lot of people, myself, I get questions all the time, how do you handle these nerves and things like that? Is this something that you're looking forward to, or is this something that you just kind of, I don't like it? So tell me a little bit about how do you feel about the pressure cooker?
I like it. I tend to shoot better under pressure. Just when I have a little bit of nerves, it helps my hold tighten up a little bit.
That's awesome. Well, that's obviously the reason why you're shooting so well, especially under these situations, because those people that enjoy this situation always do better in it, and that should be a quick lesson for everyone.
Take a look at Jacob here. You can see that shot timing and how he's getting rewarded with that nice pull through, that nice explosion, landing him dead center. Man, he looks good.
Beautiful shooting. So we're going to see Dan's shots now, and you can just see he's been pounding that 11. Very calm, very consistent. His hand comes back the same way every single time. He's looking really good out there.
Yeah, Dan's going to need to run a perfect end here against Jacob to win this match. Might be a 10. We finally see a chink in the armor. I think that's probably going to be out there for a 10. That'll tie this match up if Jacob can land the 11. And he does. Right in that same hole, that top target looks perfect for him.
It looks like we're in a tied match. Dan needs to hit 11s at this point if he wants to take this match. Nice recovery from Dan.
Now they're calling that an 11, but that's going to be close.
For sure it's out the bottom of it. But I think he was in.
No question on that one. That's
gorgeous center 11s.
No question on that arrow. Dan sends it right down the middle.
The question is,
can
here. Jacob tie it?
He needs to tie it to stay alive in this match. That's going to be a 10.
Out.
That's probably going to decide the match here. Dan glassing down range to see what he's got.
Well, and we've got a couple arrow calls, so we'll have to see.
Could go either way.
No telling what you're going to have to let the judge decide. You got Susan Ludwig down there making the calls. Uh-oh, she's bringing the light out, Dan. The magnifying glass. She's checking it out really well.
You can see the officials. They have a light and a magnifier, and they do that so that they can get a great look at the arrow and a great look to see if it's possibly touching the line. Now, the officials here, they do a great job at trying to award the archer every point that they've earned. She's getting a look at that middle arrow as well. We had a We had a tight call on that camera angle. We were trying to give that a good, solid look. Right now, unofficially, it is a 1-point lead to Dan. I couldn't read her lips to see. Ooh. See, and there's a big hole there, and Dan could have taken the benefit from a fresh target face there. Now, the archers do have the opportunity to ask for a new target if they want one, or the officials will change it routinely if they think they have a problem where there's going to be an arrow call that might fall into question. So we're waiting for the official call in from the scorers.
Just a $20 bill, I think, aren't you, Susan?
They're pulling the arrows, so everything's been finalized. We're just waiting for the final call.
Dan's
and it
got
is
it.
a tie. It
Oh,
is
it is a
tied.
tie.
They did change that unofficial call. So now we go into another shoot-off.
Wow, Chuck, we have been watching so many shoot-offs today. Let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. I think we may have Larry Wise explain the rules here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, we got a tie match. Congratulations. That's what it's all about. Larry, you want to go over the format?
Yes. Dan will have choice again to go first. You'll be second. Each will shoot one arrow. We'll check to see if there's still a tie. If there is, we'll shoot a second arrow. If that's still tied, we'll shoot a third arrow, and then we'll measure closest to the center. If the distance is less than 1 millimeter, we will shoot again.
Okay.
So some wise words there. Oh my gosh, I keep
You
doing
did that
it, Chuck.
again. Wise words from Larry
I
Wise.
hope my husband isn't listening because he thinks I have the worst sense of punny humor. But anyway, wise words from Larry Wise, who, of course, very accomplished judge.
Ooh, little ginch there from Dan.
Boy. Oh my gosh.
Man, he lands it
catches
still.
it. I cannot even take the tension here today, Chuck. This is like amazing. If you're a geeked out archery fan like I am, you can't even contain yourself right now. Jacob
11.
Pettit.
How about a cheer
11.
from the crowd here? We've got to get these people wound up. It is too quiet in here.
Well, I think they're all stressed out, Chuck.
So
They're waiting to see who's going to advance.
Dan had a shoot off here earlier against Braden, and it went 2 arrows. We're going to see if he can push this
Ooh,
to
got
3.
another
Wow,
one.
no question on that
Beautiful
one.
shooting
Absolute
from
center.
Dan. Jacob really challenging him. This kid is absolutely coming to play today. Oh my gosh,
Yes, it's
Chuck,
going to go for a
closest
3-arrow
to center.
shoot-off. This one will be closest to the center.
Wow. Amazing.
The crowd gets behind him. Big, deep breath there from Jacob.
We cannot tell by 1 millimeter. They may have to shoot another one, but this one's closest to center.
And Dan will go first. It's 20 seconds to get this shot off. The way that Dan's been shooting all morning, or all afternoon rather. Center shot. Great arrow. We'll get a good look at Jacob's draw and the way that he's going to land this one and see if he can take this win. Whoa, that's going to be close. I think Jacob's
Jacob
got it,
may
though.
have it.
That's very, very close. You see Dan glances down there. He's got his binoculars up. He's looking at his.
I think
He's
Jacob's
looking at
got it.
Jacob's. Wow, that's super close. I don't know, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Wouldn't this be cool to see it go to a 4th arrow? Rob, how about getting this crowd riled up? What a big cheer for these guys. This is Dan's arrow, and you can see they've got that caliper in there, and they're going to measure from the center of that target to the center of that crosshair, and he's about 15 thousandths out. Now they're going to lock down that caliper. What a great look. Thank you, camera crew. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was awesome camera
See if
work,
we can get
guys.
him looking over at the other arrow from Jacob. And we didn't get a look at the caliper.
It looks like, I mean, goodness, I hate to get ahead of the judge, but I think Jacob's going to have this one.
Well, that puts us on the split. I think that's, ooh, that caliper moved outwards. That goes to Dan Yassuh
It
by
sure
5
does.
thousandths.
Wow.
5 thousandths.
Holy moly, Chuck. What a shoot-off. That was
Wow.
incredible.
I thought we might be shooting another one.
Amazing.
Great run, $1,250 for your first time to the Classic. I know it won't be your last. Congratulations. Let's give it up for Jacob, 19 years old.
Wow, what a shoot-off.
And
What
for
an
19
great
years
shooting, Jake.
old.
Holy cow, that is
Next competitor out.
Look at these last two shots. That's the shot from Dan. He gives it a tight look. He looks down at the screen to make sure he landed it well. He's feeling confident about that. Then you see Jacob's shot here. Boom, he breaks it. He thinks he's got it one. Bam, that was close.
You can see it now. It was a little tough to see before, but you can definitely see it. Dan has
been shuffled over to the next stage. This is how Dan got here. Dan shot through Braden Galantine in a 2-arrow shoot-off. Then he defeated John Scott. He just defeated Jacob Pettit in a 3-arrow shoot-off, closest to the center, only won it by 5 thousandths. Now he's up against Jacob Marlow. Jacob, we saw him last year here, and we remember Jacob almost ran the entire ladder. Look at these guys. What an incredible match. Jacob Pettit bumped off the 5th slot. Dan Yassuh from 8th. Stand by for some more.
And we have already got some arrows down range, Chuck. We are looking at the board, and this is a matchup between Jacob Marlow, who we see right here. He is no stranger to the shoot up here. And he's shooting against Dan Jasa, who has absolutely drilled his way through the 11 to shoot his way up through the bracket. He is now shooting against the 4th-ranked archer, Jacob Marlow.
Dan Jasa started in 8th position today, and he has had 2 shoot-offs already. Just won an absolute nail-biter, and he's up against Jacob Marlow.
Jacob is no slouch. If you've not seen him shoot before, guys, you are in for a real treat at home. He is an absolute, just a crackerjack shooter. He is confident, he's strong, he's young, and he's got a great sense of humor.
33, both men open with a perfect score.
This is a new bow you got in your hands here. Tell us a little bit about it.
I'm shooting the new Echelon 39. I've had it for a few months. Set it up, tuned right out of the box, shooting the larger cable stops. It's got a lot more versatility than we did with the Victory 37, and I really like it a lot.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about your gear. What you got on there?
I got the CV Vertex, CV Scope, just a regular blade rest, Bee Stinger, Black Eagle, Scott, just the about the same thing as last year, except for the bow.
Well, obviously it's working pretty good for you. You qualified a little higher this year than you did last year. We're pretty close to the same, but maybe a spot or 2 above. So obviously it's working good for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. We got the dynamic duo here.
We're excited to be back here with Jacob Marlow and Dan Jasa. Here's Jacob's last 2 shots. You can see the determination on his face. Just an absolutely phenomenal end for him. We're going to go back here to the shooting stage and see what these guys have in store. How many more 11s does Dan Jasa have in him today, Chuck? That's the question.
I think he's got a pocket full of them by watching the way he's been shooting. Now, Jacob in his elimination bracket, his first match was against Brandon Sheehan. He shot a perfect 132 against a 131 there to advance. Then he shot against Mario Vavro. Mario was a Vegas finalist a couple of years back. He again shot a 131 against a 130, so a near perfect score. And that put him here into this match through a 3-arrow shoot-off, 130, and then 3 arrows with a 33 closest to center. He won that to advance here into this bracket.
I don't know if we'll be able to get this camera angle, but I'd love to see an angle of Jacob where we can sort of see him either from the back or the front, but get a full body shot so that we can see his posture, because his stance, the way he stands and holds his front hip
10 probably
is just a little bit different. We can see that his front hip is really kicked out when he shoots. It's a very distinctive stance, and he shot like that for a number of years. I remember him always standing that way when he shoots.
And he opens with a 33. Dan possibly has a 30. Ooh. Could be a 31. So we might see a chink in the armor there from Dan.
Trying to be, hit the middle, try to get more bullseyes and stuff. It's a little tough.
You're looking good, man. A lot of changes gone on in your life, and I'll tell you, everybody's proud of you. You've come through school and getting into a whole bunch of stuff. How's that going?
I'm taking a ton of classes this semester, trying to finish in the fall. So I'm basically busy from busy from sun up to well, I say sun up. I'll get up at like 8 or 9, but from when I wake up to when I go to bed, I'm pretty much on my feet doing something. You're sitting in a classroom.
Very good. Well, thanks for your hard work. It looks like you're working hard at your shooting. It's going well. Looks like we've got a 66-64 match. Jacob's got a 2-point lead, and I assume you'll want to continue to shoot first. Okay.
And because Jacob is the leader, he has the option to start first or let Dan start first. He elects to go first and put the pressure on Dan here. He does have a 2-point advantage at the half.
This year he just brought something viral with him. I'm rooming with Darren, and he's coughed all over me all week, and he's got the bird flu.
He's got the bird flu.
We've got a little, you can see Jacob's back there, and you could just see how his posture is just a little bit different. He's definitely got more weight on his front foot, on his front hip.
Man, he makes it work, though.
I was just going to say, in archery, it's very much what works for your body. You have to find what works for you.
Dan falls right back into his groove, picks up an 11 there.
Nice recovery by Dan. This is a good move on his part. Great shot here. You can see how elevated the shooter platform is, and you can see just a little bit of that interesting posture that Jacob Marlow has. He really finishes those shots very quickly. He doesn't hang out in his follow-through very long, but he doesn't have to. The arrow's getting out of the bow really quick.
Great job from Dan. Good response there. Archery poses, postures, forms, whatever you want to call them, are very much like golf.
Yes.
There is no perfect posture. There is no perfect form. It's whatever
Correct.
works for you. Whatever's comfortable that you can repeat is what you want to do. Dan has a very different form, very upright, very much in the T position. There's a 10. He gives up another point.
And he does not look happy.
99-96. We'll get some words from Nathan Brooks here as he and Rob are communicating about shot timing.
The strategy of not getting back there and just holding forever. Obviously, these guys are being very aggressive with their shot execution.
Yeah, I think I need to adapt to that myself. My slow shot timing tends to make my pin wander a little too much. I get on the spot pretty quick, but it takes me too long to fire the shot. So I'm impressed with watching these guys shoot hinge-style releases and be able to get through them so quickly, because that's what I shoot. And, well, even with a button, I shoot that, but I tend to thump it a little too hard to be consistent. So, or at least I haven't figured that out. Haven't been to Gellenthien school yet, but.
Referring to Tim Gellenthien there, we call him the hammer because he kind of punches or shoots, activates the shot with his release. We'll take a look here at Dan's shot.
Beautiful form, just very, very consistent, very textbook, very classic form. Everything about him is very evenly distributed. But here, Jacob Marlow, a bit of a rebel, just shoots his own style, shoots what works for him. And he does it. I mean, he kills it every time when he shoots.
Yeah, it was really impressive to watch him shoot that shoot off last year. Center punches that shot. This is our last end of this match. Now, looks like Jacob has the opportunity here to dethrone Dan, who has shot his way from the 8th position up against Jacob here, who's in the 4th position. Jacob with another 11. And barring anything tragic.
Theoretically, Jacob's got a 3-point lead in this match, unless something crazy happens. Beautiful shooting from Dan. He's not giving up.
No, he's doing what he has to do to try to stay in the match. He's got to hope for an error from Jacob, but.
Longer hold time, but he gets it.
Still
and
gets
this
it.
match is his.
Well inside for an 11. And this match will go to Jacob Marlow. Dan Yassuh will finish in 5th.
Great finish for Dan.
What a finish by these two guys. Great job from Dan Yassuh. What an amazing afternoon he had coming up through the bracket. Gets a handshake all around.
A lot of perfect ends in a row. $1,500 you take away. And congratulations, you did PSE and yourself proud. I know that you have a day job. You have a couple of day jobs with what you do for PSE, and so you're not able to train full time. Let's give it up for Dan Jazza from PSC. Dan, what you got to say? How's it feel to be up here on the LAS Classic stage?
Well, I mean, when I took the job, I knew I was going to have to make some sacrifices, and over the last year, I've had to change the way I practice and change my focus. And this year, it's kind of starting to come together a little bit, and being able to shoot the way I used to, and still be able to work a full-time job.
Awesome. Let's give it up for Dan Jazza. Congratulations. Thank you.
Nice to hear from Dan as he steps off the stage and makes room for our incoming competitor. Our number 3rd position will be Paul Tedford as we review this match between Jacob Marlow and Dan Yassuh. Jacob Marlow will advance. Stay tuned. We are live at the Lancaster Archery Classic at the True Ball Axel Archery Hall, the Spooky Nook Sports Complex, and the Win and Win booth. We'll be right back. And we are back live at the Lancaster Archery Classic. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. In the men's Open Pro, you can see Dan Yassuh defeated Braden Galantine and John Scott, and then had a shoot-off with Jacob Pettit, and just defeated Jacob Marlow. Teresa Johnson here with me, Chuck Cooley, for this men's Open Pro shoot-off. Now he's up against Paul Tedford. What are you expecting out of this one?
So Jacob Marlow defeated Dan Yassuh in the last pass, as you mentioned, and now against Paul Tedford, he's got a really tough competitor on his hands. Both of these very seasoned archery veterans, both of them experienced with this format, NFAA events, target archery events, I think even 3D. I don't know if Paul is a 3D guy, but I can tell you these guys are really standout shooters in just about every discipline that they shoot in.
Paul, we see quite a bit on the international stage. He was the number 8 seed after qualifications. His elimination rounds,
we see a deep breath there from Paul. He took a moment there to compose himself before he makes this next shot, and kind of brings his head right into the shot consistently every time. Quick finish.
Ooh, that's
dropped it a little
Paul.
bit.
See a couple of 10s
Finish
there.
looked a little quick. I don't know his shot very well, and so I couldn't even begin to speculate why, but beautiful shot there from Jacob Marlow.
Jacob opened with a high 10, 11-11. Paul with 11-10-10.
Well, this is going to be another tie one. They're going to be tied all the way through. I noticed here Paul's also got a new bow in his hands, and he's also got some water in his hands at the moment. I was going to ask him something, so I'll give him a second there. Tell me a little bit about this new bow you got.
It's the Prime X1. And they're using the Synergy technology on this bow. So they moved the grip up from below the center of the riser. Now it's in the middle of the riser, which makes it hold a little steadier and makes it a little more stable in your hands. Shooting pretty good so far this year. I've had it for, I don't know, three or so months now, and it seems to be doing good.
Now, does Prime make any bows that shoot the other direction? Because I notice you do it on the opposite side of what I do.
Yeah, I think they make a few, yeah.
Well, apparently you got it working pretty good. I noticed you got a Shibuya shot on there. Tell us a little bit about the other gear you got on here. I'm always curious about stabilizers and weights that everyone uses, and what do you got here?
Yeah, so a lot of my accessories, AE, arrow rest, rods, like you said, the Shibuya sight. The rods, I'm running 33-inch front bar with quite a bit of weight up front.
We're going to see some replay action here. You can see Jacob's last few shots, and landed really well, but he always looks just a little bit uncertain, Chuck, when that arrow's flying down at the target, like he's not quite sure what's going to happen. He doesn't want to count on anything, especially against an opponent like Paul Tedford.
Yeah, Paul, you can see, obviously a top contender from the United States, part of the Montana gang, Montana boys that go out there and shoot. His brother Aaron shoots along with him as well. He's routinely in shoot-offs just about everywhere he goes, so this is no new position for him. He came out of the gate, again, a number 8 position after the qualification round. His first competitor in the elimination bracket was Mark Passmore. He shot a 131, 129 against him. Then came up against Glenn Bordwell, shot another 131, only 1 point off of perfect, 131, 129 to put himself in this position. Now, Jacob opens with a 10 and 11. Paul opened with a 11 on his first arrow. Let's take a look at his second one here.
Nice and steady. And he hits
Dead
the middle.
center.
Nice shot.
First 2 arrows looking much more comfortable for him in this end.
Beautiful, consistent shooting from Jacob Marlow. He's dropped the 1 point this end, but he has been really solid overall in this match. Theoretically, he's got a lead. Let's see what Paul does.
Paul answers with 11 and ties up the match. We're tied at the half.
Beautiful shooting from both of these guys.
Paul, that was some nice shooting. How you feeling up there?
I'm feeling pretty good. Bit nervous, obviously, like always, but that's just the way it goes. Nobody really gets rid of the nerves, but doing okay.
Yeah, very good. You've been traveling a lot in recent years, shooting almost all the international tournaments and whatnot, and really dedicating yourself to archery. Give us an idea of how much you've traveled in the last year or two. What's your typical travel in a year?
Well, for an example, last year with Delta, I flew. I got on over 100 planes, so like 103, I think, planes total, which is a lot of layovers and a lot of airports and a lot of hours just sitting, and thinking. So it's a lot to handle, but really, when I look at it, I feel pretty fortunate to do what I do, and sometimes I like to remember that it's probably better than a 9-to-5 and sitting in an office or something like that, or working in the oil field or anything like that, So I feel pretty good about doing what I do.
Well, certainly a pleasure to watch.
Bit of replay action here on Paul's last shot. You can really hear the humility as he talks a little bit about how fortunate he is to do what he does for a living. 33 points up on the board for him in this last end. This is a tied match. He's got a tough opponent. Both of these guys very evenly matched right now. Let's see what happens.
Now, Paul feeling very comfortable. One of the things that Paul does on the side is he does own his own company in the archery industry, Aim Size Supplements. He has 2 different supplements that he sells. One is for vision, and the other one is for nerves.
Nice shooting.
Both of those supplements are approved and clean. They're not any kind of a drug or anything like that, but they do help calm the nerves.
Let's see what Paul's got right now. Of course, we need to keep putting 11s down there if he's going to have any chance of defeating Jacob Marlow. He does. Beautiful shooting.
Both of these guys coming out of the gate very, very strong. 11s all around, still tied.
And look at that quick shot. If you're looking at home and you're, especially if you haven't watched a lot of compound shooting, you might be puzzled by the follow through, how quickly Jacob brings that bow down.
Liner there.
We may have.
I don't know. You see Jacob taking a look down there to see if Paul caught it. I think he's probably going to catch it, but the judge is going to get in there and take a quick look at that.
I think these kids are pretty tough. A bunch of, Jacob Pettit, Paul Tedford. The level of talent in this class, the bar has been raised. Stefan Hansen, Mikey Schlosser, watching these guys shoot 659 qualifying rounds. I've never shot that in my life, even in practice. So to come out here and try to compete with them, you hope to do the best you can, but watching them do it when the lights and the cameras on them, it's really impressive.
Yes, it is. Looking good there, Jacob. How you feeling?
Pretty good. Just, Paul's actually a pretty close friend of mine, so, kind of fun having, shooting up here with him.
You going to have a little fun with him?
Huh? I'm sure that we'll have some more side bets in the future. I guarantee you that's on the table.
Okay, we're waiting for the scores to come up here.
We'll take a look here at Jacob's shot. You can see that unique anchor point that he's got. Looks very comfortable with that shot.
Beautiful.
Lands
11.
it in the dead center. Paul looking super comfortable as well. I'd love to see that logo on his riser, that little gold crown you see there. That's from the Kings of Archery. That's an exceptional tournament held over in Europe.
And that's a very tough tournament, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck.
Oh yeah. They call that the Kings of Archery for a reason. If you're in that event and you win that event, you went through some people to do it.
Let's see what Jacob's got in him here. Watch this very quick recovery at the end of the shot. He moves really quickly once that arrow's out of the bow. We'll try to get a full body shot of him, or at least just his upper half on the next arrow or two, so we can see what happens as he executes the shot.
Paul settling
There's
in.
that Kings of Archery logo.
Lands
Let's
a
see what
solid
Jacob's
11
got
there.
in him.
These guys putting on quite a display here.
And you can see at the end of the shot how quickly he looks at that target and drops his arm, but the arrow's already out of the bow. I mean, the reality is today's arrows out of today's bows are traveling so fast. As long as you're doing a halfway decent follow through, you got no worries.
That's a right side 11, but he's well inside. No question there on that arrow.
Just the point of the arrow coming past the riser there.
And an 11.
Beautiful shot from Jacob Marlow.
Paul has to match this to push it to a shoot-off.
Let's see what he
Anything
does.
less than 11, and this is over. Great look at his scope there. And at 11, we're going to have another shoot-off.
Chuck.
Fantastic.
Wow, such an amazing level of shooting.
Now they'll go up there and they'll change the targets for the shoot-off. Great job.
What do you think?
I think I wish I would have hit one more of them.
He only needed one more, right? Well, that's a really strong showing. 130 apiece is a good match in anybody's book. Nice shooting, guys. We'll get your arrows back, and we'll start the tiebreaker. You'll shoot one arrow each if we tie. On that one, we'll shoot a second one. If it is tie, then it goes to a sudden death shoot-off, which will be closest arrow to the center on the third arrow.
We've seen quite a few shoot-offs today. I think that's the most exciting part of archery. Here's Jacob's last arrow. Looked pretty confident, pretty comfortable with that one. Landed it dead center. And see if we get a look. Nope, no look at Dan's last arrow. So again, we go into the shoot-off here, and it is one arrow for score. If they're tied after that arrow, they do it again. And if they're tied after that, they do go one arrow closest to center. Teresa, we've seen a bunch of those today and yesterday. It's a great format. I love the way they do the shoot-off here.
We're super excited to see what comes out of these two bows that are on center stage. The final shoot down at the Lancaster Archery Classic. Whoever wins this match has two more tough competitors to face if they want the big money. So steady. Whew.
Paul's got to match this with an 11 to stay alive.
Let's see what he does. Looks very calm. And he
Wow.
shoots an 11. Beautiful center shot there. Just in the bottom of the 11, but beautiful shot from Paul Tedford. Let's see what Jacob does.
And again, these guys have 30 seconds to get these shots off. Soon.
Whew. Beautiful shooting.
I'm expecting this to go to a third arrow for sure.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I think you're right, Chuck. I think anything can happen here. You're right.
And Paul's in a groove. Those are very centered. So now we go closest to center.
This is so exciting, and if you're watching at home, this is just a testament to the quality, the caliber of shooter we've got at this event.
That's a tall 11. Paul does have a door here. You can see
Jacob
he is really
not
unhappy
thrilled.
with that one.
Paul knows he's got the door open. He's got to stay calm and execute the way he's been executing, and he
There it
does.
is.
He's got it. Paul Tedford advances.
Wow,
Nice
what a
job.
shot. Congratulations, Paul Tedford. He will advance on closest to the center shoot-off.
You didn't clean the table this year like you did last year, but you come away with $2,000. Still not a bad weekend and a great warm-up for Vegas in 2 weeks. What do you think? This will be your first year shooting Vegas. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Vegas in 2 weeks.
I shot it actually a few years ago. That's why I didn't go back. But a little convincing from that guy. And I'll go back this year.
Very good. We've enjoyed having you, Jacob. Congratulations. Let's hear it for Jacob Marlow.
What a great contest between these two men, Jacob Marlow and Paul Tedford.
So much talent.
Yes. When we come back, we will see Chance Beaubouef, who I'm excited to see in the shoot-off this year.
Super talented archer. Really tough competition between these two. This is going to be a very high caliber of shooting that our folks at home are going to get to see now.
Absolutely. We want to thank our sponsors who are making all of this happen.
Yes.
This live broadcast is brought to you by Hoyt, and we want to thank them very much for doing that. We're in the Trueball Axel Archery Hall, and the live scoring is being brought to you by Dead Center Archery Products. You can follow along there at archers.com, R-C-H-E-R-Z. And Carbon Express did the practice hall for us this year. The Victory Arrow Company brought together our youth trophy tournament. And thanks again to Carbon Express, Matthews, and Black Eagle for being our Platinum Plus sponsors this weekend. Chance Beaubouef comes out of the gate. He launches it with an 11, and Chance is the number 2 qualifier here for the ladder bracket. Chance qualified with a 132 against George Riles in his first match, and then he went against a shoot-off with Caleb Sorrells, shot a near-perfect 131. Those two tied, and 2-arrow shoot-off there. Chance won that with a 22 versus a 21, and that put him here in this position. He qualified in 12th overall after the elimination rounds. Paul opens up with a I think Chance just lost an arrow. That's a 0.
That
he lost that arrow on draw.
That could be the match. I mean, it's early. It's early. And stranger things have happened, Chuck.
Stranger, and you see
and
it
you do
kind
have
of
the 11 here, but that is a miss for Chance Beaubouef. Shocking in the first end.
And Paul shoots a 33. Chance will have a 22.
Wow.
I've seen that happen
you could
with
see Paul
Chance
shake
before.
His head.
Oh.
Paul doesn't necessarily want to take this match that way. You know, I don't want to speak for him, but
that's gut-wrenching. I saw that happen to Chance years ago when we were shooting in the Lancaster Classic in the main building. Chance lost one downrange off a misfire like that.
One of the new elite bows, and is it a 39? It's 39, echelon 39.
We'll watch this replay here. Chance comes back, and he's at.
He sure did lose it.
Oh, I hate that for him, man.
Scott
so
Focus,
sad for him.
hinge release, and he's running gold tip arrows. All right. In his corner, I see he's got Mike Pollard from OPA.
Oh, Chance
Mike, how's it
is
going?
just gutted from that.
All right, doing fine. Good to see you, Mike. Okay, the arrows are coming back. Nathan, that was a tough break, and nobody likes to see that. Everybody in the room,
now,
you know, hurts to see that.
My heart's in my stomach right now.
Oh.
It's a tough position for both of them, Chuck. Of course, it's a completely heartbreaking thing for Chance because it's not his fault. It's completely accidental, and it's a tough break. But if I'm Paul, I'm also feeling for Chance right now.
Yeah, you know, this is unsettling for both archers. You know, granted, Chance is just gutted because he knows he just shot a 0, and there's almost no comeback from that. And unless Paul does the same thing, there's no comeback from that. And, you know, that's going to unsettle Paul just a little bit because he doesn't want to win that way. None of us want to win that way. We want to win, you know, against the best of circumstances. We want to shoot these guys through.
But look at the recovery that we're seeing from Chance. I mean, he's going to recover. He's going to shoot his best game, and stranger things have happened. You just never know.
Once they get a couple of arrows through their system here, try to push that out of their head, push that off to the side, and kind of recover from that. Chance, you'll see he's a consummate professional. I really have a lot of respect for this guy and what he's done in the industry and how long he's been around. This guy's won Vegas countless times. You know, he's been here in the shoot-off
Absolutely.
at Lancaster.
I can remember Chance winning in Atlantic City.
Oh, my gosh.
Back in the day. We're going back almost 20 years here.
Just made yourself 20 years older. Paul Tedford opens up with a 32 there, possibly a 33 on that second arrow. We'll wait for the final call. There's a good look at Chance's release, his QAD rest.
You really got to feel for him at this point, because he's going to put on a class act exhibition here that speaks to the caliber of his shooting despite the miss.
Looked real good. How much weight are you running on your bars? I see looks like a lot of weight there.
It is. It's 11 on the front and 30 on the back.
30 ounces on the back. Wow. That's a lot of weight.
He balances it well with the guns, you know.
Oh,
yeah.
Chance, obviously, I'm sad for that, but on a good note, let's keep it in perspective, right? Absolutely. There's worse things in this world than things happening like this, and, you know, Lord's shining on us. We got another day to be out here doing what we like to do anyway, so I'm very, very thankful to have you as a friend. I've known you for a super long time, since you was young, punching a trigger like crazy, watching you shoot over the years, and you've obviously made this stage many, many times. And as the saying goes, Rob, if you do it long enough, everything's bound to happen at some point. So,
yeah, and the good news is we've still got a nice check for you. All right.
That's great to hear. Trying to kind of bust that down just a little bit. Now, Chance in his qualifier this year, his first round, he shot a 329 out of a possible 330. He only missed 1x. So there's no doubt that Chance clearly has the skill and the responsibility to be here. His second round was a 326. He finished with a 655. The same score he shot last year. 2016, he shot a 657 and was the 6th place qualifier.
Let's talk for a minute, too, about the lesson to younger competitors who may be watching this match, because there's a huge lesson here in sportsmanship and the way you hold yourself. The way you come back from something difficult. You didn't see him throw his bow down. You didn't see him get super upset. And the reality is he was within his rights to do all of those things, and he didn't. He's a class act, and now he's going to shoot his A game. He's going to take the experience from this, and he's going to go home, and you better believe that he's just going to keep working on it, because it wasn't a reflection of the quality of his shooting at all. Beautiful shooting from Paul Tedford. And look at that. He's really consistent, Chuck. You can see he's hitting the same holes again and again. Paul Tedford is not messing around right now.
No, he knows he's got to keep himself together, because he's got some tough matches coming up still if he's going to advance.
Well, and he's got a tough competitor here still in Chance. And the reality is that, you know, it can happen to anybody. And so just as a freak thing occurred here with Chance,
I've seen it happen to Rio.
Right, exactly. And you just never know what might happen.
Any of these guys can go through that. And like you say, you know, that's a great testament to Chance and how he's handled this and how he's battled back through it. And he's still pounding 11s after 11s, even though he had a misfire.
Long hold time, but he drills it down the center. Beautiful shot from Chance Beaubouef. Oh, my goodness. You just got to give him so much credit right now.
33s apiece. Now that tells you what this match could have been like had he not had that misfire.
A fierce competitor both on the 3D range and in dots. You also enjoy bow hunting. I've been blessed to share a hunting camp with you last year in Colorado, you and Kelsey. And, you know, tell the folks about how much you enjoy your bow hunt.
I always tell people if I could hunt for a living, I'd quit shooting tournaments tomorrow. But it's really one of my passions, and I really enjoy it, and it's something I look forward to all throughout the tournament season. And it's really what started me in shooting tournaments and getting prepared for hunting season.
I can tell you, sharing a hunting camp with Chance and Kelsey, he works just as hard and is just as talented a bow hunter as he is a target archer. Let's give Chance Beaubouef a hand.
Beautiful shooting from both of these guys, and Paul Tedford has just been on fire today, and you can't take anything away from him. He is really, he is doing justice to this match by shooting his very best. He is not feeling sorry for Chance. He is putting his very best foot forward as he finishes this match.
Now, if he didn't have that match, you know, it's only 10 points apart right now. If he didn't have that miss, you know, this would be a completely different story right now. Chance could potentially be in the lead or tied.
Whew.
Paul
Beautiful
Tedford
shooting.
right down the middle. He's falling into his groove just in time, because he's going to be coming up against a tough competitor here, the #1 seed, at the conclusion of this match.
Great
Chance.
shooting from both of these guys. He was out to the right side just a little bit, but still hits the 11. Fantastic shooting. Let's see what Paul's got.
Paul looking steady as ever. Another
Beautiful.
11 there.
Look at this match that Paul Tedford has shot. Absolutely phenomenal shooting.
Great look at Chance's hand there, the way he comes through the release.
This could be a perfect match for Paul Tedford. I take it back. It wouldn't be. He'll
No,
finish
that's a 10. It's a
131.
130 it'll be. So only dropping 2 X's in this match. Chance has the opportunity to close it out with a 33. And he does.
Beautiful shooting from these guys.
Great finish from Chance. What a tough way to lose on a misfire. Great sportsmanship from him and Paul.
Looks like Paul's going to take the match. I know you hate to win that way. And, you know, if you've shot long enough, I can tell you, you've either had a release do that when you're shooting a hinge release and punch yourself in the nose, or get a fat lip, or you know, do something that arrow crosses the yellow dead arrow line. And it's just part of the rules, part of the game. It's very rare, and I know Paul hates to win that way. But Chance, you still end up with a check for $4,000 from us and $1,500, $5,500 as a consolation prize. And you know, again, sorry we weren't able to appreciate the full extent of your shooting, but it looks like, you know, if that hadn't happened, you would have certainly given Paul a heck of a run. So, again, thank you for your sportsmanship and your friendship, and we all wish you well. Chance Beaubouef.
Congratulations to Chance Beaubouef. He will take third. Coming up next, we are going to see Paul Tedford going up against Sam Wolthius for the gold, for the win.
This is it.
And we are live here at the Lancaster Archery Classic. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We have one final match for the day. We're at the Trueball Axel Archery Hall at the Spooky Nook Sports Complex. Chuck Cooley alongside of Teresa Johnson. We are in the Win and Win broadcast booth. Make sure you guys stay tuned. This is going to be an exciting finish.
Awesome.
And welcome back live. Chuck Cooley with Teresa Johnson at the Lancaster Archery Classic 2018, the Trueball Axel Archery Hall at the Spooky Nook Sports Complex. We are live at the Win and Win broadcast booth, and you're looking at the leaderboard there for the Men's Open Pro.
We saw Paul.
This is Sam Wolthius. He is at full draw with his first arrow, 4 and 11.
We saw Paul Tedford shoot his way through some very, very tough opponents. And now we're seeing Sam Wolthius. He's our #1 qualifier. He's going to be a really tough opponent to get through. But Paul has been drilling that 11 over and over again. And Paul had to shoot through a really tough matchup this last match, in the sense there was a major distraction in the beginning, a very unfortunate circumstance for Chance Beaubouef. And Paul brought it. He did not let up at all. He shot that match. And gave credit to his competitor. They both shot an amazing match, and now here we are in the final showdown. A lot of prize money on the line.
$15,000 these guys are shooting for. Second place is $6,000. Sam Wolthius. And he pops a high 10 there. Now, Paul will try to capitalize on this, obviously. He needs to get that 1-point advantage because these two guys are very evenly matched.
Paul looking very, very steady. He does not let up. Beautiful center shot in the 11. Nice job by Paul.
33 to open up the match.
Nice shooting, guys.
1-point match.
That was solid. Looks
Rob's
like we
going
got
to get a few
33,
words
32,
here
a very close
from
match.
Sam Wolthius.
And Sam, let's talk about your gear a little bit. Looks like you've got a Hoyt Prevail with an Excel sight. What scope is that?
CBE.
CBE. It's a CBE scope. It's got a Hampski rest and bee stinger bars. What release are you shooting?
HBC, and Threads Bowstrings.
Threads Bowstrings, very good, from Jerry Carter. And you're shooting East Aluminum arrows. And what's it like to be back up here on the Lancaster Archery stage? You've been here many times.
Yeah, it's been a little while. It's good to be back up here. Had a good round this weekend and made up a little ground in the eliminations yesterday, so feels good.
Yeah, you had a really strong road on your elimination matches. Did you have some tough opponents?
Yeah, they all shot pretty well, and I beat Stefan Hansen in my last match by 1 point to take it. So,
congratulations, man. You did well, and you're up here on the stage to shoot off for first place here. All right. 33-32.
And we are back, and we are in the last match of the day. This is the showdown. If you've been watching, if you're just tuning in, this is the match to see in the Men's Open Pro Division. We have got Sam Wolthius shooting against Paul Tedford. Paul has been on fire as he shot his way through this bracket to make it to the final showdown.
Paul's been laying down 33 after 33 after 33.
And there's another 11 from Paul Tedford. He is really doing credit to his sponsors today, doing a really nice job.
Sam Wolthius coming out strong. Laid down a 32 in his first end. Absolutely get that one right towards the dead middle. These guys looking super powerful, super calm. Ooh, a rare miss from Paul. So this is going to give Sam a chance to get back into the match and get that point back if he can center this one up. And he does. He didn't look happy with it, but he landed it well.
Now we've got an even match. We've got an even playing field. Paul, of course, can he recover? He's been shooting 11s all day long. Does that throw him off his rhythm? I don't know. He's a total pro. It does not. Here's Sam, and Sam, of course, representing. Ooh.
Big ginch there from Sam, and he doesn't let down. He powers through it.
Sam representing Hoyt Archery, who's also sponsoring this live broadcast.
That's going to be a 9.
So his timing may have been a little off. We'll see.
You could see that ginch really got him off his game there.
You've been shooting now for you got 20 or 30 arrows under your belt up here on the stage. You starting to relax a little bit?
Yeah, starting to relax a little bit. I'm getting a little longer on my shot, which is probably not a good thing, but just trying to make a good shot when I can and keep it close to the middle.
Yeah, you just gotta, again, each and every arrow, you've got to try to crush it, and trust all the training and all the practice, and trust in the shot. Nathan, what's your take on this?
Well, I just obviously.
And here
you're
going to see.
Got a little replay. Watch this little ginch here. Yeah, see that there? That got him off his rhythm, got him off his spot. He didn't let down. Probably should have let down and come back and set up. He has 30 seconds on the clock. He would have had time to do that. Now, Sam, no slouch at all. He shot a 327 in his first round for his qualifier, shot a 329, 1x off of a perfect score for the second half of his qualifier this year, finishing with a 656. So, there's no way that Paul can give him any kind of room.
No.
Even with shooting a 9, Paul's still got to stay on his game. He's got to stay in front of it because he knows Sam can come back easily.
Let's see what's going to happen here. I mean, this is a really tough matchup. Both of these archers incredibly talented. Both of them at the top of their game at this event. They are used to the pressure. They're shooting under the lights. Paul's had time, of course, to get comfortable. You know he's been here for the past few matches. So he's got a few arrows through him, but Sam had the benefit of the practice area that's set up for all the competitors that come into this finals venue. And so they are really both ready to lay it down.
Paul had his first match against Jacob Marlow, his second match against Chance Beaubouef, and now against Sam Wolthius.
We are into the second half of this match.
Has a 2-point lead, which is nothing really in this division.
And definitely not
Very,
at the halfway
very tight.
mark. Yeah.
With 6 arrows to go, still a very close match. This is the Men's Open Pro for the Lancaster 2018 event.
Look at Paul Tedford. He is really on fire.
Sam looking very solid, recovers well from that last arrow, which was a 9.
Definitely not going to make it easy for Paul.
Paul looking very comfortable there. You could see that was a great overhead shot of his form and his follow through. Another good shot here from Sam.
Very solid.
See how comfortable they look, and that nice follow through. That arm comes back, that shoulder rotates. That's that pull through, that back tension style shooting.
There's a lot of money on the line here. There's a big title. There's a very full room of people cheering for these archers. This crowd has gotten really quiet, I think, because everybody's a little nervous watching this shoot down. There's just a lot on the line here and a lot of pressure.
And a 10 from Sam. He gives another point to Paul.
Wow.
We had a 2-point match. It
Should
looks
be a
like
3-point match
Paul
here
is
going into
not
the last 3
letting up.
arrows.
That was another perfect 33 end. Nice shooting, Paul. And almost perfect, Sam. You had 2 out of 3 that time. Keep shooting strong. How you feeling up there?
Getting better.
There you go. There you go. Looking good. Both of you guys are looking good. And looks like we're going to have a 98-95 match. 3 points going into the last end.
Sam, normally I would notice right
There's
here.
a quick look at Sam here. That unique anchor, see that brass knock up against his lip? That lets him know that he's in the same anchor point every single time he comes back
Probably
to full
home
draw.
watching right now, so
and he gets
good,
rewarded there. We'll
shout
get
out
some
to
words
Slade.
from Nathan.
I know you guys are almost inseparable at archery tournaments, so it's nice to see that you're raising him up and he shoots fantastic. Probably got a good coach, I'm guessing.
So we are back and we are watching this match between Sam Wolthius and Paul Tedford. Both incredible shooters. The crowd cheering them on. This has been
an
final
incredible 3 arrows here.
Final 3 arrows after 3 days of shooting. It all comes down to this.
Only a 3-point lead for Paul.
He's got to stay consistent right now. He cannot open the door for Sam. Nice shot.
Wow. Now Sam's got to respond. He's got to shoot 11s all the way out, and then he's got to hope for Paul to have something, some kind of a
nice
big
shot.
bobble or some kind of a big miss.
Beautiful shooting from Sam.
Paul settling in, looks very comfortable, very confident.
Super consistent. Amazing
does that
shooting
look
today from Paul Tedford. You know something, Chuck? You look at the way he's winning this match. You look at the way he's shot all the way through.
Sam sends another one. He's doing everything he can. He's keeping him in the middle. He's doing
Beautiful
what he's got to do to
shooting.
try to stay in this match.
Great shooting for both of these guys.
Anything in the goal to seal this up.
He's got it.
That's a 10.
Paul
At
Tedford
best, he can pick up a point, but that's
wins
not going
it.
to be it. It'll be Paul Tedford's win.
long hold time there. And with that arrow, Paul Tedford wins the Men's Open Pro Division.
Congratulations to Paul Tedford defeating Sam Wolthius for the
Fantastic
Men's
shooting.
Open Pro 2018, the Lancaster Classic. Let's get some words from Rob out here on the line.
So close. You end up with $6,000 from LAS, $2,000 from Hoyt, $8,000 payday. Not a bad weekend. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hello to all my kids and my wife. They're watching on the live feed at home. And I want to thank God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to do this. And if it wasn't for him, I want to give God all the glory. Anything that I ever was is because of him.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam.
Some great words from Sam Wolthius there. Big shout out to the family. And Rob's going to go over and get some words from Paul Tedford.
Classic was Snowmageddon?
No, it was the year before.
The year before.
Where the heater stopped working in that hotel.
Okay. Okay. Boy, you had a rough start with us. But this year, you take home $22,000, $15,000 from LAS, and $7,000 from your bow sponsor, Prime. How do you feel about that?
Boy, I feel pretty good. To be honest, this is my first what I consider a major tournament. There's a lot of big ones out there, and this is one of them that's always been one that I respected and one that I wanted to be up here and on the big stage, and here I am. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy feeling.
Congratulations to Prime. Congratulations to you and your family. Aaron, your brother, I know was right here with you, and I saw his reaction. It was great to see. Congratulations. Well done. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for coming and for watching and for being a part of the LAS Classic here, 2018. We fully intend to do this next year here at the Spooky Nook Sports Center. And I want to thank True Ball Excel, Hoyt, Dead Center, all of our sponsors for all of the support, and especially our staff, Lancaster Archery. Please, I'd ask for a round of applause for the staff of Lancaster Archery. Thank you to my team. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining me again this weekend. We had a great time. 3 days of amazing shooting here at the Lancaster Classic. We just watched some amazing matches all day. We got to watch Paul Tedford make his way up from the 3rd position and win the Lancaster Classic 2018.
Amazing shooting from all of the folks who have shot today. We saw incredible barebow competition this weekend, world-class barebow competition. We saw phenomenal recurve shooting and incredible showdown compound shooting. We have been super lucky for all of the incredible attendance and participation that we've seen this weekend.
Thank you very much for tuning in and joining us right here live. The Lancaster Classic. Thank you very much to our sponsors, True Ball XL, Hoyt, Dead Center Archery Products, Carbon Express, Matthews, Black Eagle. All of those people make that happen. Make sure you're shopping with your local dealer or you're buying your products from an authorized distributor. We will see you here live next year at the Lancaster Archery Classic. From the Spooky Nook Sports Facility, I'm Chuck Cooley. Thank you very much, Teresa, for joining me once again. We'll see you live next year.
Introducing the new tank series brought to you by the industry leader, Carbon Express. Dominate the competition with forgiveness and accuracy that has never before been achieved in a large diameter target arrow. Featuring class-leading 360-degree spine consistency as well as front and rear end braking strength that makes Tank Series the premier arrow choice for large diameter shafts. Change the game with Carbon Express.